Hey everybody. Oh, gosh, I don't know about this aspect ratio. It makes me feel kind of a little closed in. Got Uncle Sam here, keeping a watchful eye. Get off me, Sam! Get off my back! I can't help it when I pet something. You might have noticed me grind my teeth just then. I can't help it. I grind my teeth when I touch something soft. It's one of the weirdest things about me. Last night, what was that? The December 1st, the Eastwatch channel, somebody you should check out, good stuff there, posted a link to an article referring to a court ruling that dismissed a case, Sam's tail, dismissed a case from a university law professor about stating the congressional authority to fine people a certain amount of money for not having health care coverage as unconstitutional. The basis of which Congress doesn't have the authority to declare how an individual will spend their money. What they do have the authority to do is regulate interstate commerce. And that's where we come to U.S. District Judge Norman K. Moon in Lynchburg, Virginia. Now, this is important. Remember that name, Norman K. Moon. And if you live in Lynchburg, Virginia, he will be one of your district judges. And here's the deal, real quick, before we go further, and I'll remind you of this again. Whenever you see a person, a judge in the news, you need to write down their name and remember them. And if what you read in the news of their judgment is something that you would agree with, that's fine. If you see something that you disagree with, you are not helpless. When you go to vote and you see on the ballot, hey, do you wish to retain Judge so-and-so? If this judge has done things throughout the course of your observation that you do not agree with, then you elect to not retain that judge. So you do have the ability. Don't be fooled by what the media says, like, well, these guys are appointed and there's nothing you can do about it. Anybody who's voted will be able to tell you different, because in the back section there's this big long list of people that you've never ever heard of, hardly, and it says, do you wish to retain so-and-so, do you wish to retain this person, that person, so on and so forth. And that's what you need to do if you want to be vigilant in how you can help the situation. What ended up being the case, this university professor, and I'll put the link to the article down below that the Eastwatch provided. What this university professor did was he brought it to a U.S. District Court to declare that it is unconstitutional to be required to pay a fine for not having health care coverage. And what this U.S. District Judge declared in a 53-page response, which we should be able to find the link to. If there's a lot of interest to it, then I'll go to the trouble of looking it up. But he declared that Congress does have this right because how and when we pay for health care substantially affects the interstate health care market. Now, please don't mistake me. This isn't necessarily about health care, and I'm not for not providing electric scooters to a poor old lady so she can't go shopping, and I'm not about tipping over wheelchairs or letting sick people die. That's not the case here. What is the case here is the slippery slope of Congress saying, well, people spending their money in this particular fashion affects interstate health care, and they now require that you have to spend your money here, spend your money there. Ask anyone who's a large farmer. When the Department of Agriculture declares where and when and what type of crop that you're going to plant as a private farmer, I mean, that's a slippery damn slope. And it's something that needs to come into review, and everybody, we put it up against the wall, and we look at it based on the Constitution, and we all put our heads together, and hopefully we find the correct way. Personally, I believe that Congress has no particular authority to declare how an individual will spend their money. They do have the authority to tax to a certain extent, and but to say, well, you will be required to have health care coverage. If not, and you make X amount of dollars per year, then you need to pay a $15,000 fine. I don't know. I don't believe they have the authority to do that, and that's my personal view. And I'm very interested in seeing how this pans out in the courts. And what we need to do is be vigilant and pay attention to the responses of the so-called authorities that wish to put this stuff down. I mean, one of my biggest criticisms against, say, Nancy Pelosi, for example, is she sits up there acting as if she knows what's best for me, regardless of what my feelings are. And I don't agree with that. That's not who I am, and that's not who I was raised to be. I mean, maybe I'm the exception to the rule, but I really don't think so. Everybody that I know is the same way also. If you want health care, then you need to go for it. And I don't know. I believe people should have health care, but the manner in which to get it would be to let the person pursue an occupation that will allow them to make enough money to cover the things that they want, need, or deserve. And it's easy enough to do. This backdoor something for nothing deal is not cool. And there's a lot of talk in the media about, well, the Fed is printing money out of thin air, and this is out of thin air, and that's out of thin air. Let me give you a little hint here. When you have a $750 billion budget, but you only take in $700 billion in taxes, that $50 billion is out of thin air. If somebody receives a check in the mail from the government and they don't physically do an action, that check, that money comes out of thin air. Or it is reliant on a group of people dedicating a portion of their labor and efforts towards taking care of another, which there isn't a problem with, but it's something that needs to be measured, and it needs to be under constant review, because you end up with a slippery slope where the system becomes turned upside down, which is what I believe quite a few of you feel in the air is where we're headed. I don't necessarily know about the system being totally upside down, but it's something that requires constant vigilance. And I know I've repeated that word a lot, but it's necessary. And I know that I'm just a boring old white guy, but it's thinking that what's going on with Congress and the laws and what the media has to say or do, it's believing that is boring that's got us into this multi-trillion-dollar debt of a situation. That's what I got for now on this. Comments and responses are all open, and I'm sorry if I bored you to death, but this was on my mind, and I'm looking to keep up with this. And if you're interested in being updated on it, just let me know, and I'll keep it up. Thanks a bunch for your time.